My name is Jazmyn McGuire, and I am a senior here at WT. I am majoring in criminal justice, specializing in corrections, and then with that, I have a minor in social work. So for this presentation, I'm going to be talking about how social psychology correlates to my future career path. For my future career path, I've always wanted to be a part of something in the criminal justice field. Rather, whenever I was younger, I wanted to be a lawyer, and then as time progressed and I got older, and also got to college, I've changed my mind from being a homicide detective to being a prison psychologist, and then now I want to be a correctional treatment specialist. So a correctional treatment specialist is just basically a more fancier term for a case manager or a correctional counselor. And what they do is develop rehabilitation plans for offenders so they won't reoffend, as well as write case reports about those offenders and their history. So whenever they have to talk to the parole board, they can tell them the likelihood that he or she will commit another crime. Social psychology plays such a key role in being a correctional treatment specialist, and this is mainly because of the rehabilitation plans that are given to offenders, as well as the case reports that are being written about offenders to try and to predict the likelihood of them engaging in more crime once they get released. So 3 terms that stood out to me that correlate to my field and are in social psychology are social cognition, self-relegation, and social support. To me was social cognition. So social cognition is defined as a cognition that relates to social activities that helps us understand and predict the behaviors of ourselves and others. So with social cognition, I thought of an example that could correlate to my field since I want to help with young juveniles would be a 12-year-old boy and him moving to a new place. As he moved to this new place, he used to be a good kid, didn't engage in any trouble, he was a straight A student. Yet he made these new friends who engage in criminal activity. So they do things like shoplifting, destroying property, getting into fights with other students, things like that. So based on that new social activity that he has with his new friends, he's learning their behavior, and we can likely predict that he will engage into future criminal activity due to his new social activity. Social cognition applies to my career of being a correctional treatment specialist in a few ways. One reason is through the questionnaires, psychological tests, and the one-on-one conversations that are given to these inmates. So from that, I would be evaluating the inmates, trying to understand their way of thinking as well as their feelings. So whenever I write these case reports, I would be able to understand and predict their future behavior to see if they engage in more crime. Another reason that I thought social cognition would apply to my career is through rehabilitation plans that are given. So having a better understanding of which ones work and which ones don't work and how they feel about these rehabilitation plans will help me better understand their future behavior once they get out and to see how they use these plans to engage in their social life. The second term in social psychology that correlates to my future career path of wanting to be a correctional treatment specialist is self-relegation. Self-relegation is the process of setting goals and using our cognitive and affective capacities to reach those goals. So an example that I thought would be good for this is, say a child is having bad anger problems at school that causes them to engage in fights. So if there's goals that are set that they don't fight anyone that week and they are rewarded with something, it changes their thinking pattern of, if I don't fight with someone, I get a reward. Self-relegation applies to my career of being a correctional treatment specialist in a great deal, and this is mainly through the developing the rehabilitation plans for offenders and making sure that they have progress. I'm going to be having my own certain site goals that I want the offenders to achieve, whether it be going to AA meetings, to NA meetings, finding housing, finding jobs, getting education, and things like that. But not only do I want them to achieve these goals, I want them to achieve those goals for their own benefit. I want them to have other certain set goals that they have in mind, whether it be reconnecting with family members, finding a car, finding a job, other things like that. So with these set goals that they have in mind, they can use their cognitive ability to be able to achieve that certain goal that they need to achieve. The third term that I thought would correlate to my path is social support. Social support is defined as the approval, assistance, advice, and comfort received from those whom we have developed stable, positive relationships with. And an example that I thought would be for this would be a teenage daughter getting unexpectedly pregnant. And with that, she has the approval, advice, and comfort from her friends and family will make her realize that everything will be okay and that she has them for help and she can ask them for help at any point in time. Support applies to my career in a great deal, and this is mainly through the rehabilitation that we are wanting the offenders to do. Rather it be they need support from probation officers, parole officers, correctional treatment specialists, or even their family and friends. they have to have those positive relationships to know that by doing these rehabilitation programs and trying to get better, that they're going to be supporting them no matter what. And that plays such a key role, because if you're not having a team rooting for you whenever you're trying to get better, you kind of just are like, no one really cares, so why am I going to try to get better? And I feel like offenders really feel that a lot of the time, because they think that no one really cares about them, and that by doing these things, by doing the criminal activity, no one's going to tell them to stop or not do it, so they're just going to end up back into the system, back into that cycle, and that's not something we want. So another reason that I thought social support would be a great part in my career path was through the community as well. So a community support is the same, I thought, as social support, because the community plays such a key role in offenders' lives. They need to have positive relationships with the community as well, where they know that they can seek advice, comfort, and that they're rooting for them as well, so that they don't get back into criminal activity and they won't reoffend. The three social psychology terms, social cognition, self-relegation, and social support, all correlate to my future career path of wanting to be a correctional treatment specialist. However, I thought that social cognition kind of stood out from the other two, because social cognition is more focused on the inmate's future behavior, and it's very useful in writing the case reports for the parole board to tell them, like, this person is going to predict more criminal behavior or this person's not. So it can let us better understand how successful they will be whenever they get out. Yet the other two are more related to rehabilitation plans. So with self-relegation, it's more focused on that person and them setting those goals that they want to achieve and using those cognitive abilities to achieve that goal. However, with social support, it's more of having those people that have your back and wanting to push you to achieve those goals. So they kind of go hand in hand, because self-relegation is you're using your own thinking patterns and your own self to get that goal achieved, where your social support is telling you, you need to achieve this goal, you need to do this, you need to do that. And they're having that positive relationship to give you that advice and comfort and just support overall for them to achieve that goal. Because whenever they achieve that goal, then they don't get back into prisons or detention centers, and that is what we want. From this class, I really understood how social psychology is correlated to a lot of different careers, not just my career of being a correctional treatment specialist, but to other careers, whether it be a police officer, a homicide detective, a game warden, a correctional counselor, a school psychologist, and many things like that. And this class was really enjoyable, that I got a better understanding of how different terms such as social cognition, self-relegation, and social support are all correlated to my field, and how I can be able to use those tools to be able to help me whenever I do my future career. So I just wanted to end with that and say thank you for making this class very enjoyable and giving me a better perspective of how social psychology relates to my future career path.